You now know how to break a scenario into tasks and pick an execution pattern that owns its costs, even when a plan fails halfway. That works well for a single coordinator, but real workflows often need multiple agents with different responsibilities. In this module, we move from one agent managing tasks to designing topologies of agents. We'll build an orchestrator with scoped subagents, compare hub-and-spoke, pipeline, and peer-to-peer structures, and learn to hand off work without leaking context. Along the way, you'll see the specific case where one well-scoped agent outperforms a team of 7. By the end of this module, you can build an orchestrator with scoped subagents, compare hub-and-spoke, pipeline, and peer-to-peer, hand off between agents without leaking context, and find the case where one agent beats 7. Here is how this module builds up. The orchestrator subagent model is a hub-and-spoke topology. One coordinator agent decomposes the task, delegates to subagents, and aggregates their results. Subagents operate with isolated context, they do not inherit the coordinator's history, and each holds only the tools its role needs. This is not a fixed pipeline where every subagent runs on every query. The distinction people get wrong is thinking that running everything is safer, when in fact it dilutes focus and produces incomplete results. Without this pattern, you get role creep. A synthesizer with web search will do its own research, bypassing the language understanding you are paying for. You also get reports that look complete but miss most of the topic. The guide sample item shows every subagent succeeding and the report still covering only a third of the subject. In production, that means rework, missed deadlines, and a system you cannot debug because there is no single place to observe what happened. The coordinator routing everything is what prevents that. Take the simple factual query case. The coordinator sees the query and applies the routing rule. This is a simple fact, so it runs only the searcher and the reporter. It invokes the searcher with its one-sentence prompt and web search tool, gets the sources, and then passes that output directly to the reporter, skipping the document analyst and synthesizer entirely. The alternative of running the full pipeline loses because the analyst and synthesizer would add no value on a simple fact, and their presence risks introducing noise or hallucination. The other cases, complex research, multi-document synthesis, are on the page, but the principle is the same: choose subagents based on the query. The durable rule is, every subagent gets only the tools its role needs, and the coordinator chooses which subagents to invoke based on the query. You reject a routing classifier that bypasses the coordinator, because it bypasses the language understanding you are paying for. You reject giving every subagent the full toolset, because that invites role creep and makes the system impossible to debug. These rules hold whether you are building with Claude today or designing a system next year. On the exam, the distractor that catches people is the fixed pipeline. It looks like thoroughness, but it is the anti-pattern. Questions will present a scenario where every subagent succeeded and the output was still incomplete, and ask what went wrong. The correct answer will point to running the full pipeline unnecessarily. Also watch for subagents holding tools they should not have. Tool restriction is a named skill, and you will be tested on recognizing when a synthesizer with web search is the root cause of a failure. These are 3 patterns for connecting agents in a multi-agent system. Hub-and-spoke puts a single coordinator in the middle that routes every message and sees every piece of state. Pipeline chains agents so each output feeds exactly one input. It is the degenerate case of hub-and-spoke where the routing is fixed. Peer-to-peer lets subagents talk directly to each other without going through a central point. The distinction people get wrong is thinking peer-to-peer is just a faster hub-and-spoke. It is not. It is a fundamentally different model that gives up centralized observability. In production, without a hub-and-spoke coordinator, you lose the ability to debug from a single trace. When Agent 2 fails in a pipeline, Agent 3 sees the problem, but Agent 1 has no idea, and neither does any central observer, because there is none. You end up scattering error handling across every seam, duplicating logic, and making the system brittle. In peer-to-peer, messages can bypass the validation and routing you have designed, so information flow becomes uncontrolled. The cost is not just latency, it is the ability to understand what your system is doing when something goes wrong, which in a production system is everything. Take the 4-agent research system and draw hub-and-spoke first. The coordinator sits in the center, and all 4 agents talk only to it. When Agent 2 fails, the coordinator sees the failure immediately. It knows Agent 2 did not respond, and it can decide whether to retry, fall back to another agent, or escalate. Now draw the pipeline. Agent 1 feeds Agent 2, Agent 2 feeds Agent 3, and so on. When Agent 2 fails, Agent 3 is the one that notices it never receives input. Agent 1 has no idea anything went wrong. You now have to write error handling at the seam between 2 and 3, and again between 3 and 4, and possibly back at 1. Finally, draw peer-to-peer, agents talk directly to whoever they need. When Agent 2 fails, the agents that depended on it each discover the failure independently, at different times, with no single component that knows the state of the whole. The rest of the cases are on the page, but this one makes the trade-off clear. The durable rule is this: for any system where multiple agents must coordinate, start with hub-and-spoke. The coordinator gives you a single place to observe, debug, and enforce routing and error handling. Use a pipeline only when the stages are genuinely fixed and linear. Extract, enrich, validate, and adding a coordinator would be ceremony, not value. Avoid peer-to-peer for coordinated work, not because it is always wrong, but because it loses the observability, controlled information flow, and consistent error handling that a coordinator provides. The exam rejects peer-to-peer for latency reduction because that optimization costs you the very things that make the system maintainable and debuggable in production. On the exam, expect a scenario that describes a multi-agent system and asks you to choose the topology and justify it. The distractor that catches people is peer-to-peer for latency reduction. It looks like the efficient choice, but the correct answer will always prioritize observability and controlled error handling. You will also see questions that ask you to describe what happens when an agent fails in each topology. The key is to trace who sees the failure and who is responsible for recovery. This is testcraft. The exam wants you to recognize that hub-and-spoke is the model for coordinated work because it gives you a single trace, and that a pipeline is only correct when the stages are fixed and linear. Context isolation means that when you invoke a subagent, it starts with a blank slate. It does not inherit the parent's conversation history, memory, or any implicit state. The only context it has is what you explicitly put in its prompt. This is not a flaw, it is what stops the coordinator's window from filling with every subagent's working material. The distinction people get wrong is treating isolation as a problem to solve by passing everything, when it is actually the mechanism that keeps multi-agent systems manageable. Without context isolation, every subagent's working material piles up in the coordinator's context window. That bloats the window, increases cost, and degrades performance. Worse, if you flatten findings into prose, the synthesizer loses the mapping between claims and sources. When a user asks for citations, the model will reconstruct plausible ones, invented URLs, made-up document names. That is worse than having no citations at all, because it erodes trust and is hard to detect. Isolation forces you to be deliberate about what you pass, and structured payloads are how you pass it safely. Take the search agent's findings. Instead of writing a paragraph like, "The study found X, according to source Y," you output a structured object per claim, evidence, source, and published at. That payload goes directly into the synthesizer's prompt. The prompt is the only transport. The alternative is flattening those 4 fields into prose, but that loses the mapping. The synthesizer then has no way to know which source goes with which claim, and if asked for citations, it will invent plausible ones. The other cases, passing full history, using shared memory, all lose because they either bloat context or fail to preserve provenance. The rest are on the page. The durable rule is, always separate content from metadata when handing off between agents. Prose is where provenance dies. The prompt is the only transport, there is no shared memory, no side channel. And reject the temptation to pass the full parent history. That reintroduces the context problem the topology was built to solve, and it still does not create a claim-to-source mapping. It costs you context window space and gains you nothing. On the exam, the distractor that catches people is passing the full parent history to the subagent. It looks like a thorough solution, but it breaks the isolation that keeps the system manageable and still does not create a claim-to-source mapping. You will see scenario questions where a synthesizer produces unsourced claims, and the correct answer is always to pass a structured payload with explicit fields in the prompt. This is testcraft, know the pattern, not just the theory. This technique is about applying judgment before adding agents. It is not that multi-agent is always wrong, it is that enthusiasm for decomposition often ignores the real costs. The distinction people get wrong is equating a complex problem with a need for complex architecture. The two are not the same. Without this discipline, you ship a system where every request fans out across agents, each handoff adding tens of milliseconds and thousands of tokens. At scale, that means slower responses, higher bills, and failures that are nearly impossible to trace because the logs are split across 5 services. The cost is not just technical debt, it is operational pain that erodes trust in the system. Take the document processing agent. It already uses 4 tools and works. The team proposes 5 specialized agents. First, test independence. The subtasks all feed into one another, they are not truly separate. Second, tool differences. The specialists would use mostly the same tools, just partitioned. Third, verbose output. The single agent's output is already trimmed. None of the justifications hold. Now price it. Each handoff adds, say, 200 milliseconds latency and 500 tokens of duplicated context. With 4 handoffs, that is 800 milliseconds and 2000 tokens per request. You also add 4 new failure points and turn 1 trace into 5. The single-agent alternative simply scopes tools better and trims outputs more aggressively. The only leftover benefit would be if you needed strict privilege separation or true parallel execution, and here, you do not. The rest of the cases follow the same pattern. The rule that holds outside any exam is this: every agent boundary must be justified by a clear benefit that outweighs its costs. If the work does not decompose into independent scopes, if the tools and privileges are the same, and if output is not poisoning context, do not split. Rejecting a multi-agent design is not about avoiding complexity, it is about avoiding cost without benefit. The reason you reject the routing classifier is not because it is a routing classifier, but because it bypasses the language understanding you are already paying for in the single agent. On the exam, expect a scenario where a single agent is working fine, and a team proposes a multi-agent split. The distractor is the option that says the domain is complex, so the architecture should be. That is testcraft. It sounds reasonable to an enthusiast, but as an architect, you know complexity of domain is not decomposability of work. The correct answer rejects the split when the 3 justifications are absent and prices the costs explicitly. So remember, scope your subagents tightly to avoid leaking context. Hub and spoke keeps you in control, while peer-to-peer can cost you error handling. Never pass full transcripts, that just brings the context problem back. And finally, adding more agents only helps when the work truly breaks apart.